All right, welcome to another episode of After the Close. It is April. Happy expiration, everybody. With me this month is my good friend and old college friend, old roommate, old co-worker, a lot of things. Mr. Brian Popek. Brian, how are you?
Doing well yourself, Mike? It's been
I'm
a
doing okay. I'm living. We're hanging in there. We'll get to some of that, I'm sure. So before we kick off though, tell everybody what you do, Brian.
so I right now I will say I am working in the insurance industry. It's been a roundabout path to get there, but I am working up here in Hartford and a director of investment operations at a private equity owned insurance company. So doing a lot of our reporting, compliance reporting, internal, you name it. Everything's coming in, making sure data's looking good, and then getting, good data out so we can make informed investment decisions. And
Interesting, interesting. Yeah, I know you kind of got into insurance, but I didn't really know. I never really got the details of it. Like what are they insuring exactly? Like what is it?
so primarily we do a lot of reinsurance. So somebody
Okay.
will have written these policies and then maybe they've been on the books for, 5, 10 years and maybe they
But we're
can't
not we're not
manage it.
talking like car insurance. Is this
No,
policies against is it like life insurance?
it's life insurance. Yeah, like really life insurance, term, full maturity or whole loan, and then, different annuity products. And so, yeah, we kind of run the gambit there.
Interesting. Okay. So you're making money just as like any other insurer would then by reinsuring it. You're just
Yeah.
redoing the calculation and bundling it. You're like reinsurance is basically securitization of insurance, isn't that right?
So what we're doing is we're actually buying blocks of business from other insurance companies that they've written these policies several years ago, for instance, and maybe they can't effectively manage that. We're buying those liabilities, those policies, and we're taking assets to back those future cash flows. And so we think that we can earn a spread
Okay.
on what those projected outflows are versus the cash we have, and we can invest that more effectively than what we have to pay out for the long run.
Got it. Got it. That makes sense. It's cash flow analysis at a high level.
It really is. It's really all about managing, what your projected outflows are against your projected uh, asset income, and making sure we have enough to protect those policyholders.
Got it. Got it. Makes sense. Makes sense. How long have you been there now?
Been there a little over 2 years,
Two
so
years.
it's
Long enough to say you like kind of know the basics. You know what's going on now.
I do. Yep. I mean, there's plenty to learn. Insurance has never been the thing that I understood. It's definitely a different type of asset management
Hmm.
than say a hedge fund or things like that. There's a lot more regulation, a lot more in the portfolio constraints that you need to consider.
Got it. Got it. Yeah, they should teach insurance more explicitly in like undergraduate coursework.
Oh, definitely. Like I will jokingly say, "Oh, I'm in the insurance industry." Like I don't know the difference between all these different policies, all the different optionality that you might have, different kickers or things like that. It's just it is. They're really beneficial products, but it's just people don't have a lot of knowledge on how to use them effectively.
Right. I mean, most people have like their retail level policies. I guess like with insurance, it's similar to how you have in broader investing, where you have like the retail investor versus like institutionalized desks.
Right.
You know, your average person has their little retail auto policy, their home insurance policy maybe, but it's pretty plain Jane. You pay a little bit and you make a claim against it. But once you get into like that higher level stuff, it can get pretty complicated.
Oh, definitely. And it's interesting, I'm focusing more on the asset or the investment side, but from the liability side, you have a pool of all these, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousand policies,
Hmm.
and you have your actuarials who are projecting, what's going on, what's the life expectancy of this pool of, people. You have different clauses where maybe they can lapse on their policies and maybe reinvest into something better. So what's the lapse policy look like? And what's going on. So not only do you, from an investment side, need to make sure you have cash, to support the future policies, but you might have unexpected cash flows coming up or outflows just because of the nature of the market environment we're in.
Gotcha, gotcha. So you're more on the asset side. How liquid is your book for something like
Yeah,
that?
it's a great question. So,
So
like
let's just take a sidestep. We went right into an insurance conversation and neither of us missed a beat. We were both like
no,
right there, ready to roll. Like
exactly.
if people knew how much like technical problems we had before we were trying to get this rolling, they would be totally amazed that we rolled directly into an insurance conversation and it was just like, that's it, no problem.
Well, and you have, maybe a little bit of insurance background, but not, not a lot. And I'm,
Well, you
I
have
know
two
enough to
years
get in
now.
trouble.
You have 2 years.
Exactly. I'm the pro here.
All right, like what a great question. I'm so proud of my question. That's kind of what that is. It's like, oh, how liquid is your book? Because I like get it. I know what's going on.
Well,
Um, so how liquid
yeah,
is your book? Sounds
it,
dirty.
it, I know, right? It's a very good question because, we have policies that maybe are, they're policies that might last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, but we also have whole life insurance as well. So we're trying to manage the whole portfolio, and maybe against something that's has a 30-year expected payout, you want to be in private equity, something that's going to have that long-term gains. But if you've got things that are coming up in the next month or so, you've
Hmm.
got to be liquid, but you want to earn more than, say, treasury or cash. I mean, cash is earning 5% now, let's say, which is great, but you want to get
Sure.
that extra couple of bips that you can. So I would say generally, we have a pretty liquid, a core fixed income book, but it's supplemented by different, product types that might be a little less liquid, where we do get a premium for that illiquidity.
Got it. Got it. That makes sense. It kind of just, I said earlier that in your undergraduate coursework, you really don't get into insurance, but you
No.
do get into capital budgeting and all of the mechanics of discounting cash flows, which you need ultimately for insurance. Because if you're looking at it that dryly, all you're doing is comparing expected future returns versus obligations and finding the
Right.
the point where they match. It's just supply and demand in some respects.
It is. And we're at an interesting point too, with, rates having risen as much as they have very quickly. You've got policies that maybe were written a long time ago when rates were, 1%. And if you can
Mhm.
go in and take a 30-year highly rated, corporate and lock in, a good 6% return, do you
Oh
want to
yeah.
do that, or do you want to try to roll the dice and, keep reinvesting in something that's a little more juicy but doesn't have that 30-year maturity? And it's a game of trying to figure out, what can you do, and how long can you keep reinvesting at a high rate where there's a equilibrium point as well. And so that's one of the challenges, that we're contemplating.
You're contemplating how to make it juicier. Got it.
Exactly.
Um, no, I get it. I understand what you're doing. It's interesting. I don't have very many deep dive insurance talks. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Oh yeah.
It's like my
But
father-in-law was in insurance. What's the
I mean, the other interesting thing too, though, is, we want to try to create, income for ourselves, but at the end of the day, we have a responsibility to protect those policyholders too. So you can't just, let's all go private equity and hope everything, gets that, 20% return or whatever you're hoping for,
Mhm.
because you've got to, there are regulations in place. There are things like that to make sure that those policyholders, their cash is there when they need it. We're there, we're serving them first. We have many different stakeholders and they're the most important ones. So that's, really our responsibility there. So it's a balancing act of, taking on an appropriate level of risk, but without, really jeopardizing, people's futures.
That makes sense. It's I kept trying to think of a dirty joke to go with it, but it just wasn't coming to me. I was like, oh, maybe there's something there. But it wasn't coming to me.
I'll tee
Um,
you up later, I'm sure.
yeah, sure. So you're doing insurance now. That's great because we used to work together, but we were in totally different like kind of universe at the time. We were much, much younger. So
Yes.
we kind of didn't know our heads from our ass when it came to how like the industry works. But two, we were like indirect. We were a market making firm, so we were
Correct.
directly talking about just trading objects on or off the exchange. They're very structured. Like you can price them very much to a simple model, and we could learn that business. Insurance, you don't think of it that way. So like they're two very different things when I think in your head, but
Yes.
then there's actually very similar underlyings when you're trying to like find edge.
Right. And that's what it is, and what we were doing as, option market makers or futures market makers was really, you have a fair value and you're pricing around that and you're hoping that somebody's hitting your bid ask,
Yes.
and you adjust accordingly.
Right.
Whereas here it really is, portfolio construction, trying to get an efficient frontier, maximize your return for an acceptable level of risk. And so it's
You're like,
investing versus trading. It's very different.
yeah, that's a good way of thinking of it. Yeah, you're really more investing. Like, were you if you're talking about like legitimate like Markowitz portfolio type discussions in like a meeting, that's absolutely more in the investing side. So it is interesting that that's a key difference. I agree. That's smart. But trading's more fun.
Oh, it is.
And
It is.
we're this is trader dads, not investor dads.
Exactly.
Though I am a fan. Shout out to Stock Dads because Stock Dads is now a subscriber and follower. So we are growing and we are finding people that are of like minds, slowly but surely. So shout out to Stock Dads because they do subscribe.
Well, congratulations on that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So let's start in a little bit. It's been a while since we've spoken. I think we're both very busy. You busy working, me busy not working, but being busy. Um, but how is the family doing? Because I got another one coming.
You do. I know. Coming up quick.
Two
So
weeks
families,
from oh, actually when this premieres, the baby will have been born. So
well,
that's how close we
congratulations
are.
on
Yeah.
on your baby. I don't hear her crying, so she's got to be, or your child must be great. So we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
Yep.
Um,
But yeah,
yeah,
the,
no,
the
but
kids are.
we're filming this early to make sure it gets done. So my kid's coming in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So it's kind of fun
Yeah.
because we can talk about it like projecting forward, but it's not going to air until after the baby's born. So I get to say all stupid stuff now, and then I look like an idiot in 2 weeks.
Well, you're well rested. Things are going great on your side. We're able to
That's a
film
big
this
one.
in the
Yeah,
evening. Yeah.
we are sleeping well in the house now, and it's all going to go to pot in like 2 weeks, and now it's just going to be like goodbye next year. All the sleeping is gone. I know.
Well,
Oh,
it doesn't get better.
it doesn't.
No.
We're we're really interested. The boy is coming. That's the whole thing. That's going to be that I know that that's going to be a bigger factor than I think anyone else in the house knows that we can have a boy in the house
Yes. The
because
dynamics are going to change. It'll take a little bit of time, but it'll be there.
I think that my wife and daughters are going to be a little flummoxed as to how to deal with a little boy for the first couple of weeks. And then I think later they're going to be very almost aghast at how much like energy a 2 or 3 year old boy has compared to like them.
Oh, it is a lot. I can
Yeah.
speak from having two boys. They bring a lot of energy. And I have two boys, very different personalities, but they are go, go, go. And they just play off each other, their energy levels, and it's just
How old are your sons
trying to
now?
keep up. They are 7 and soon to be 5. So just coming up on it,
7 and
on 5 there. And yeah, so we've got two boys. They've been doing big into basketball right now. And they just watching men's basketball. They love up here in Connecticut. The UConn Huskies are having a good season.
They're becoming next generation UConn fans.
Oh, they are. So
Do
we
they have a concept of what March Madness is? Is that like,
they are starting to appreciate the big tournament versus say the Big East tournament versus just the little things that happen through the season.
okay, let's
So
start.
I I took my oldest one to UConn North Carolina game at the Garden. We had some really good seats, and my other son was very disappointed that he didn't get to go. So I took him to another basketball game down in Brooklyn at the Barclays Center, and was really hyping up St. John's basketball because it was somebody that he could relate to. He's seen them play through the Big East.
Hmm.
I created a St. John's basketball monster. Every day we're playing basketball in the basement. He is St. John's. He knows that Rick Pitino coaches them. It's like, all right, we've got, coming out for, St. John's at Madison Square Garden, Rick Pitino, St. John's Red Storm, and
He
he'll
plays he
just go,
plays it all out. Like he's like,
oh, he plays it out. He knows the players, he can rattle them all off. He knows every Monday. He knows the rankings come out. He has to look at them and he can rattle off out of the top 25. He can name probably 22 of them.
wow.
It's
That's
the three that trickle in and out that kind of throw him off, but he can just scroll down and look at all the logos and just
oh
go.
wow. Good for him. Now how much of that is his own doing and his own interest versus maybe you like let's say endorsing it?
I may have planted the seed there,
Hmm.
but he gravitated towards it. So, we've had tickets to see the UConn men play in Hartford for the past couple of years, and got to take them to a few games. They really enjoyed watching it. So this year we've been to a lot of the games there, and they just, they know the players, they know everybody. I mean, my son will just Parker, who's 5, will just wake up. He'll want to watch all the recaps, and he can tell you he's seen them so many times exactly what's going to happen.
Hmm.
And it's incredible how much those kids absorb and they take in,
Oh yeah.
and it's just it's crazy to see. And he's got such a good positive attitude. He'll watch a game and he'll be like, "Oh, they're only down by 8 points. That's like 2 3-pointers and a two."
He's like he's gonna be like 4 seconds left. They're down by 6, but they can still do it. They can still
Oh
do
no,
it.
he looks at the clock. He goes, "Oh no, they're not going to win this game." He's got that concept too of what's enough time, what's not enough time,
That's good. That's good.
which is fun. Yeah.
I yeah, I've been wondering if sports is gonna make a comeback in our house because I kind of like
Were they
have
ever there?
not really, if I'm being honest. There was a little bit more interest. But like my girls have shown no interest in it whatsoever. So it's like why I'm like, I'm not gonna force it on them. But I think like with the boy coming at some point, like 4 or 5 years from now, we could start to like be into like because we have like basketball is big down here.
Yep.
You have UNC, you have the Hornets. But then we also, I mean, with football, like the Panthers suck this year.
Yep.
So that wasn't really a thing to worry about. But still, like it's down here. We have a team, the Giants will come down and play or whoever else, the Jets, whoever. So there's potential for us to like try to get into it again. I mean, there's like teams to root for. It's not like we've been like bumblefuck. But whether it happens or not, I guess we'll have to wait and see. We'll see if like his friends start to get into it, and he gets into it by, you know,
By association there. Yeah,
yeah,
that's what it's all about. It's what are your friends into? What are you exposed to? So just put a little basketball, football up in the crib there, just make them look at it every day. You'll be good.
yeah. We are definitely debating how we're gonna influence him a little bit. I was discussing last month that my plan is to turn him into the kicker on the football team
Nice.
because those guys gonna make league minimum in the NFL. That's got to be pretty good. And
Oh
like
yeah.
I've checked like the sizes of those guys, and like
It doesn't matter.
genetically it's possible. You
Yeah.
know, it's like me if I got in like really good shape and packed on a few extra pounds, like I could be like considered a kicker size.
You know what? You want to be the punter, not even the like field goal kicker. You
Mm,
could be a dedicated punter, a lot less pressure,
right,
you know. You go
right.
out there, you make a few good punts, it's underappreciated, but there is a good punter does change the flow of the game.
Yes, especially if you can get good placement deep by the goal line.
Exactly. So, and nobody says I want to be a punter when I grow up. So it's a good opportunity.
Well, that was my theory, is that it's about the relative rarity of the position is a way you can sneak. I really like sat and like I thought about it. Like I was like home by myself, just like thinking about how I could pull it off. Like I looked online if there were books, like how and there are like ones about the mechanics of kicking, but there's no book where it's like how to become an NFL kicker. Like I'll have to write
Right.
that.
Yeah.
Like at some point I'll have to like figure it out and then go back and write that books for the next guy. But I was really thinking about it, and I was thinking about how, like in the movie The Blind Side, the
Yep.
opening of it is where they talk about LT being the highest paid or second highest paid person because he was guarding the quarterback.
Yep.
So he's in, you know what I'm talking about? The prologue of
Yeah.
The Blind Side. So what they explained is that became a unique position that there'd be a premium for in the just pool, right? Like
Right. Yeah.
so the same goes for any of the unique positions. Like a center is relatively harder to find than a guard
Yep.
because there's two guards on every team, and I get it, it's one's left, one's right, but still, the centers are a little bit more like unique in their abilities.
Exactly.
Same with the kicker. So that was my logic. I was like, it will come in through that door.
Exactly. You got it figured out. Master plan there.
That's my retirement plan, my golden toe. Um,
Exactly. Who
it's
needs a golden
it's
parachute when you
funny
got
if
that
it
golden
weren't
cup?
sad. We're gonna see. But like I think we're gonna end up getting what's gonna end up happening is we're gonna start like getting like all the swag from people. Like we have like cousins and stuff who they're
Oh
probably
yeah.
gonna send them like Carolina Panther shirts and stuff like that. And that's kind of how that'll be how it starts.
Oh, exactly.
And maybe like a Charlotte Hornets stuff and whatnot. Because they like it and they think it's cute, whatever, and he'll be in it. And then eventually we'll have to start like watching it because then like he'll know what it is. That's probably how
Oh
that'll
yeah.
go.
I mean,
I
that's what happened to Parker. We had a friend visiting. They were a huge Miami Dolphins fan, and now we root for the Dolphins over here. And well, at least he does. Braden will root for the Chiefs, who had a good year, and he calls, they call him Patrick
Mahomes.
Mahomes, so he's got to go watch my Mahomes play, which is
Your
always a good one.
your 7-year-old says that?
Yeah, and they both do. They kind of play off each other. So it's
Mahomes.
fun.
Okay.
Patrick Mahomes.
Patrick Mahomes.
You should
I yeah,
trademark
we're not gonna do we're not getting into that. I don't think so.
that.
Um, but maybe we will. You never know. Uh, the other thing that's gonna be fun about having the boy is gonna be like I can just buy the toys again.
Yep.
So this is actually I
Here come all
didn't
the
put
Legos. Here come all the fun things like that.
I didn't put this together until just this afternoon. Your dad does the moldings for things.
Yeah, he used to do a lot of product development, juvenile products, toys, and things like that. So
Right.
I had a fun childhood.
Yeah, so you got all like the old 90s toys and whatnot, like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and the Power Rangers and the Batmans, and you probably God knows what else.
So yesterday I actually opened up an unopened game of Crossfire,
Ooh, that's a good
and
one.
it was as a late 30s person, not as much fun as I remember as like a 10-year-old kid. It was still fun. The kids had fun, but for me, it was a little. I thought it was a little more fast paced and a little more action packed, but it was still good.
Yeah, it's like so that was one of those games where the commercial was far better than the product itself.
Yeah, but it was fun.
And it had the jingle, like it had the
Oh, Crossfire, you'll get caught.
you get caught up in the yeah, that was great. My brother and I used to sing that to each other when we were fighting. Um, but what I was gonna say is, I know your dad does all that, and you get all that cool stuff, and to the point where you almost we found out that I had a toy. I had like the pizza shooter toy from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles that I guess your dad actually developed. Is that how that
Yeah,
goes?
so they did a lot of the development and prototyping for it, and final build for it. Assembly, design, all of that. So I always thought it was just a cool toy that I had a couple kicking around. Well, it turns out, years later, learned, oh yeah, it's because we did the development of it. So there was that one. Don't Wake Daddy. Always, a lot of people remember that game.
That's a good
Um,
one.
Trying to think of. I mean, they touched so many different things, and now I'm drawing a blank on them.
No,
So
I
my
get it, but he
dad,
did a lot of toy development, which was really a cool, like little niche thing to be doing in life, like that. And especially now, you have all this retro nostalgia stuff. So,
oh
like
yeah,
my family, who still has a lot of our old toys floating around, like my brother has some of it, my other brother has some of it, my parents have a bunch of it tucked away in the basement, and they've been like trying to get rid of it. So they find out we're gonna have a boy, and they're all like, you can have all the stuff. You can just
Nice.
take all the stuff. My brother was like, so I got like 3 bins of Mighty Morphin Power Ranger toys, which were from like 1992.
Yeah.
He's like, do you want them? Because, and really what he's saying is we don't, because he has girls, so
Right.
they don't use it. So I'm like, I simultaneously want them and I simultaneously don't because like I kind of want them because it'd be like they're toys, they're fun toys. My kid can use them, but I don't want them because it's like then we're gonna have that much more stuff.
That much more. Yep.
Yeah, so that's
Oh,
kind of that
exactly.
catch 22. But I'll be a little bit more lenient on it when it's stuff that like I like.
Exactly. It's
I'll,
more fun to pull that stuff out of the box, and it's like, I remember having a fun time with this. And
especially when it's actually the ones you had. Like these are all like from 30 years ago.
oh, right.
Like these
Yeah.
are the actual just things I had in 1991.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
that
yeah.
pull them all back out, be like, oh, cool, I remember how to do this. Like snap it all together and do it, and you hand it to them. It's like making balloon animals, but with plastic toys. So they just
Right.
hand it off to them. So
Oh,
that's gonna be
exactly.
one of the things I enjoy about having the boy coming around. We're gonna get to play with all that stuff again.
Yep.
Not that I don't enjoy playing with American Girl doll and you know, any number of Barbie playhouses I've put together over the last 3 years. Those are fun too. I've played my fair share of Barbies, don't get me wrong. I've gotten my nails done. I've gotten makeup put on my face. I've played with Barbies. I've done dress up. They've done my hair. I have done all of that stuff as a girl dad a dozen times easily. I was
Oh,
actually on a
yeah.
call once. This was early pandemic. I was on a call with an MD about a problem that was happening in like the systems,
Yeah.
but we had all just gone remote and we were all under lockdown. And I had a 3-year-old, so I let the 3-year-old start to paint my nails like earlier. So
Right.
then
Right. Right.
she's still painting my nails when the MD calls me, and then I'm talking to him about this big problem. I wish somebody had taken a picture because it would have been such like a cliche like dad at home picture, but those things really happened, and I was totally cool with it.
Oh, yeah.
That
You
being
just,
said, we get to switch now.
exactly.
So now I'm gonna get a couple of years of playing with the swords and all that stuff. Like if you don't think there's gonna be a lot of lightsabers in our house, you just don't know me at all.
Oh, well, I know. Now you have a reason to have more.
More. That's right. Yeah, we have a lightsaber quota now, but now it's gonna get jacked up a couple more because we're gonna have the boy.
And you can always, have the boys versus the girls, sneak attacks, things like that, and try to
Hmm.
bring them back into it. So, it's just
I
it
think
gives.
we started watching a lot of Modern Family
Okay. Yep.
because A, it's a good show. I just like sitcoms.
Yeah.
Um, but B, because the family structure would be the same as ours. We'll have 2 girls and a boy.
Okay. Yeah.
So like we like showed it to my other girls because we're like, oh, we're gonna have the boy now. It's gonna be like you're gonna be the big sisters, like whatever, and we're gonna have the boy now as the little brother, and you're gonna have to take care of him. So then they started watching Modern Family reruns on like E or on demand or whatever. Like my 7 year
Right.
old likes them, so we'll watch it like at dinner. Um, the Modern Family bit is I've realized that the reason that show is so goddamn popular is because they get the zeitgeist of like what like the family dynamic is. Like my wife's always like, "Oh my God, I'm just like Claire, aren't I?" And it's like, well,
Yeah.
you and 250,000 other housewives in to millions maybe.
But there's somebody that anybody can relate to within the family
Exactly.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So we've been trying to use that to like show it to the girls so they know like the family dynamic how it's coming. They're gonna have like a little boy. So we watch like season 1 and stuff when he's like a kid.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Are
That's a
you
good way to time it.
like, have your kids have been binge watching any shows or anything like? Do you have to still put up with that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, so right now, Braden, who's 7, he's huge on Minecraft, and that's all he wants to watch, or just, videos of Minecraft, people doing things, and so finally I downloaded Minecraft for him, and he's a pro after one day of doing it. He self-declared pro. I'm a noob. I don't know what I'm doing, and
Naturally, naturally.
so and it's true. Like he actually knows what's going on, and I'm sitting there struggling, like the old guy who doesn't know anything. And so he's big on that, but it's been basketball, Bluey. Um, you know, Bluey's great. Good
I
jokes
love
for the
Bluey.
parents, and I can relate to that dad quite a bit, you know?
That's the
It's
other
just
thing.
kind of
Like they
fun.
clearly play to like everyone sees themselves in the characters, so it
Oh
works
yeah.
out great. But yeah, I love Bluey, especially when I only had two girls. That's we were leaning on Bluey as like the family dynamic with two girls.
Oh, exactly.
Right. And it takes you first, if you don't know what Bluey is, it takes you like 6 episodes to be sure that they are two girls. I'll grant you.
I thought Blue was a boy for the longest time
A
with
lot
me
of yeah,
half
you're
watching.
not quite
Yeah.
sure at first. You have to like kind of catch on that they're girls. But once you do, you're like, okay, I got it. Like, you know,
Oh
you're
yeah.
into it. Bluey's great. I mean, I sit and watch it all the time.
I know.
Sometimes with
But
my
kids,
kids.
yeah, right. Sometimes it'll be late at night. It's like, yeah, there's nothing on. I could throw Bluey on or something like
Or
that.
it's like you're definitely gonna finish out the episode.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Like you're not gonna get up,
Yeah.
but you are gonna sit and finish the episode.
And they're like 8 minutes long. So it's, you guys want to watch another one? Yeah, go for it. You know?
That's the trick. That's like when they had Nickelodeon cartoons back in like, the 80s and 90s, they'd be shorter. And
Yeah,
finding like the correct length of time for the episode is crucial to make that work.
it is. Yeah. No, it's perfect because like, oh, fine, go watch another one. Next thing you know, 5 episodes later, it's like, yeah, I'm a great parent. You've been watching Bluey for the past hour, but there's
Fine.
worse
You
things.
learn a lot. Like,
Oh yeah, and they're good stories. Good, well developed, quick. Teach you things like don't get distracted. They're playing hide and seek. It's like, hey guys, don't get distracted by everything, and you can kind of carry those lessons over.
it works. It's fair game. What was I gonna say? I I was super impressed but in the later because like I think they released a bunch and then they released like more later, like season two, I guess.
Yep.
They figured out that the parents were watching, so the later episodes have like great little like double entendres and snide remarks,
Oh,
which
they do.
don't have to be in there at all. Like they had to
No.
animate that whole scene. Like they couldn't just, it wasn't like an ad-lib line. Like, but they make a deliberate point of having like the parents kind of like make cracks about the kids every once in a while, which is
Oh
great.
yeah.
Really, they
Yeah.
really know parents are watching it.
Well, yeah, it's like, all right, if you're gonna, you've got, three. I'm looking at the TV like it's on right now, but you've got three different things you might throw on. You know what? I'll throw Bluey on because I'll sit around and listen in and watch it.
Yes, absolutely.
It works.
Why not?
Yep.
We liked Bluey. We moved up to Modern Family. Generally, though, my kids are just binge watching whatever cartoon it is. Um, it
Yeah.
like they watch a series as if it was like one giant movie. Like they binge watch it. They'll be
Right.
like my 7-year-old's watching Elena, which is like an animated Disney princess
Yeah.
series.
Yep.
It's 3 seasons. It runs so it's probably like
Yeah.
in total it probably runs I don't know 25 hours.
Right.
Watch the entire series. It's probably about 25 hours. So she's just been banging it out for like
Yeah.
2 hours a night.
Well,
She'll get
that's
through
what
it in
these.
about 2 weeks, and then she'll move on to the next show and just start that. So she just
Right.
constantly binge watches. That's just how she devours television as a small child.
Oh yeah, and there's no concept of when we were kids, you'd have to wait until a certain hour on a certain day to watch what you wanted, and then if you didn't watch it, that was it. You missed it.
Right.
And these, everybody's got it on demand. You can watch it like that, bang, 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 one after the other, and it's just an interesting dynamic, now that we're living with.
That's like I don't know what this is going to drop in April, but they're talking about the TikTok ban. Do you know about
Yes,
that?
yep. Yeah, yep.
The TikTok ban is interesting. I have no idea if it's gonna like by the time this posts, TikTok might be here or gone. I have no idea. But the little I know of it, it shows how much the binge watching and stuff is like crack cocaine.
Oh, it is.
Because in China, here are the few bullet points I do know, which is make me form my opinion on this. In China, they passed a law that basically, if you scroll through TikTok long enough, TikTok stops automatically and forces you to wait.
Yeah.
That does not happen in the United States.
Oh no. Gosh, no.
It does
Yeah.
not happen in the United States. So in China, they realize that this is bad and we have to stop it, and they don't give a crap what happens here. That's the first thing I know. Second thing I know is that when the bill to ban TikTok came up in the subcommittee, it passed 50-0 to say we have to block TikTok or get them to get disassociated from the Chinese government, however you want to frame it.
Yeah, right.
50-0. Yes, we have to get rid of it.
That doesn't happen very often these days.
So, and the third thing is that there's like there's YouTube Shorts, there's Instagram Reels, there's like various other ways that you can get the exact same thing.
Yep.
So my like attitude on this is like I think it might get banned.
I, I think it could. It'll be interesting, with our capitalistic market versus a communist, and things like that. But it could. And then, I mean, so you ban TikTok, it'll just move on to the next platform. That's kind of what I see.
Well,
But maybe
it's
not.
not about the users going on to different platforms. I think like I'm pretty sure like all the 50 members of Congress voted to ban it after they had like classified like briefings.
Right.
Like you got to think that basically our like intelligence guys know that like there's probably two things. One is it's propaganda.
Yep. Oh, totally.
Like they're definitely sending propaganda. And two, if you download TikTok to your phone, there's probably a backdoor which is going to let anyone from the Chinese government get onto your phone.
Oh, exactly.
And I get if you're like John Q taxpayer who works at like, just a random job. Like if you're just like a random plumber in like a small town and you just happen to have TikTok on your phone, yeah, the Chinese government's not going to get on your phone. I think you're pretty safe.
Right.
But if you're like the senior vice president of so and so and you have your corporate email on there, they might eventually find you.
Right.
So that's kind of like I think that's what like people have been. I think that's what they're concerned about.
Right. And I think that's been the problem, or, the perception from the onset of all this is just, it's the espionage side. It's, what are they able to record and, get access to via this channel. And you hit the nail on the head too with, the propaganda. You just see, ways to influence. It's all influencers and things like that to, spread a message, however subtle it may be.
Yeah, I mean, here we are doing a podcast about doing social media or not being on social media, really. But the propaganda in and of itself that you get from it doesn't really bother me so much. It's more, I think, like they have like backdoor stuff on there that can get onto your phone, which is
Right.
why like they don't want TikTok on there. This led astray a little bit, but my roundabout point was going to be like they're focused on that as the problem, not on like binge watching.
Right.
Sorry, like we kind of got a skew there. My point was going to be that like in China they make them stop. Here they don't. And like that's a big factor, I think, in what's going on with a lot of different stuff because you do the whole scrolling for an hour, which everyone can do, but
And you don't realize it's,
bad.
how time passes by. Next thing you know, it's like, all right, what did I do?
Like I'm cool with my daughter, bring it full circle. I'm cool with my daughter watching like the Disney show, binge watching that. That's a hell of a lot better than her like just scrolling through like YouTube videos and watching
Oh, yeah.
like do you let your kids watch like YouTube Shorts or YouTube Kids or anything?
Yeah, a bit. And they know how to work the remotes, we'll put it that way.
Okay.
So, we'll start on, Disney or something like that, and next thing you know, it'll be, they'll have, YouTube up and try to keep it in check there. But it is, one video leads to the next thing you know, they're going down a path. And it's like, how is this stuff coming up? And at least with the shows that are on TV, there is thought behind them. There's a story that's being told. It's just, there's something educational to it.
Right.
Whereas, anybody can put anything up on YouTube or whatever it is. And sometimes it's just pandemonium or, it's just, there's no moral to it.
Right. No, some of it's like garbage for sure.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
And there's a lot of it's like derivative so that because people figure out that these things get like a billion views. So they try to make their own and they're like half as good. It's like, what's it like in Super Troopers?
Yep.
They call it that there's the scene where they're talking about the monkey logo and they're like, oh, this is Afghanimation. What do they call it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
It's like
right.
it's like you know how there's cheap Korean knockoff animated stuff? Well, this is a cheaper, more poor version of that.
Right.
So that's the type of stuff you end up on some of the YouTube threads for kids, which it's just drivel. We just stopped cold turkey. We just said like this doesn't exist anymore. We just after a while. And like we just don't even allow it's like, nope, we're not even dealing with this. Like this doesn't exist. I just took it off and then it's
Yeah.
like, nope, you don't have it at all. Because we noticed their some of it's very like vaudevillian, like slapstick humor crap, like somebody gets bonked in the nose and junk like that.
Yep.
And so like you could tell my kids started to like be more physical and do more crap like that because they were watching it and they thought it was funny. And we're like, no, I'm not dealing with this. I don't need to like turn the corner and get hit in the nuts. That's not how we're
Right.
gonna play this game, kids.
It's the Simpsons mole man gets hit, with the
Right,
football.
like yeah, they're watching videos of like kids like playing pranks where like they wind up a big baseball bat and then they like swing it and hit their dad in the nuts. Be like, no, we're not entertaining that as a scenario here. We're getting that off. I'm not walking around with a jock strap and a cup in my own house every day. That's not going to happen.
But you got baseball in the house, so it's a win, right?
I guess we are going to have baseball in the house again soon. Yeah, that's true. We are having a boy. Um, yeah,
No,
so we don't let them use YouTube and we don't let them really watch anything privately yet. Like
yeah,
I set up a TV in each of their rooms so they can each watch what they're interested in watching.
yep,
But uh for but I can go in and see what they're watching. Like I know what they're watching.
right.
And it's
Yeah,
like Disney, so it's like it's fine.
we've got like the one, main TV that, the kids have to learn how to share, which is
Hmm.
always fun too. And we went cold turkey with YouTube for a while, but that withdrawal with the kids was so strong, and it was,
Really?
during the COVID, really changed the dynamic of things too, and it was just, there were the things that they enjoyed watching, and, they didn't want to go watch another, Daniel Tiger or whatever it may be,
Hmm.
and, and of course, we, not to say we caved again, but, it was like, all right, you wanted to pull something up on, to watch a video on something. Well, of course, it's going to pop up on YouTube. So then, it got reinstalled again. And the next thing you know, the kids
Yep.
found it. And there you go.
Yeah, they're smart with it. They know how to navigate it quicker. It's weird to be on the other side of that. Like you remember when we were younger, technology really started to infiltrate lives, like late 90s,
Right.
So we felt like the wizards compared to somebody who grew up in an analog world. Now, like, I'm still smarter than my children when it comes to technology, and I expect to be for a while, but it doesn't mean they can't pick up a few tricks here and there that might be able to get me if I'm not looking at for them. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So I got to start paying attention a little bit more. Like I put some locks on some things because all of a sudden I was like, nope, we're not going down that road. So it's interesting. Have you been doing anything else? Because I knew you used to do the racing.
Yeah. So we are, racing season's about to kick off. Parker, is turning 5,
Hmm.
and he'll be going through driving school. So nothing like a good, parent. You're 5 years old. Here's a gas pedal. Here's a brake pedal. This one's go. That one's stop. Strap them in with your 5-point harness and go. So he,
How old? You said he's going to be 5?
he'll be 5. So
Okay.
he'll start racing. He's got driver school, which is, probably 4 or 5 hours of learning how to drive, and then they send him out there and they can start racing. And
Are these like
it's
formula? Are these like
it's
NASCAR tracks, or is this more like a Formula One?
so it's quarter midget racing, so it's usually an oval track, and it's always an oval track, and they do have a series that's sponsored by NASCAR, so they will go to, they'll do events at the different tracks as well. And you can race from 5 to, I want to say, like 17, as long if you could
Oh,
still fit in the cars. And
well,
they've
they
got
compete
different
again. There's like divisions though. They don't
yeah, oh
compete.
yeah, complete, yeah. So there's
It'd be kind
tons
of
of different
wild if you watched a
divisions.
5-year-old race a 17-year-old.
Oh yeah, it would be a little scary, but I mean they've got engines, that are basically lawnmower engines on up to, 250 cc Yamaha, Kawasaki, whatever engines, and engines bigger than the track can really handle. So it's really, it's impressive to see. And you see these kids driving, and some of them, it's like the reaction time is like you're driving, 150, 180 miles an hour.
Wow.
They're going around this track in, 5 seconds, making four turns, trying to pass people, setting themselves up, positioning themselves to be able to do that. It's incredible. It's fun to watch, and I've grown a real appreciation for it.
Yeah.
There's a lot more to it than you think, and
This is
it's
how I'll
fun to
turn
see.
into like a sports dad. It'll like
Right.
sneak up on me one day and realize, oh, I'm blowing my Saturdays at the whatever.
Oh yeah.
It'll sneak up on me. We'll see.
Oh yeah. But it is, and then, as a good parent, you always want to set your kid up to do well. So you're going to spend time making sure everything's right, and trying to get that, little edge here and there. And, next thing you know, it takes up your whole week, and then you go race, and then you start over again.
Start over
So
again. Yeah. So it's like equally your hobby as it is your child's hobby.
it's the whole family hobby. Yeah, exactly.
I, I think that's a real positive if you can find the thing. Like I don't know what my
Yeah.
thing would be with my son. What are we gonna do? Podcast with each other?
Right.
what the fuck are we gonna
Yeah.
do?
You can exploit your child on YouTube. There you go.
I- hmm. Yeah, I'm probably not gonna do that.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting thought though.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't know what we're gonna figure out though. It'll have to be something like it's because I want
Well,
I
it's
don't
going to be
know. We'll
whatever they're
see.
going to
We'll see.
gravitate
I
towards.
don't know.
It's whatever they're going to find an interest in, and hopefully you find it a little bit interesting too, you know.
Yeah, I think that's probably the trick. Like I'm my daughter's in school of rock, so she's learning different instruments, and I never formally learned an instrument, but I'm
Yep.
like humming and hawing over maybe like getting like a guitar for myself for Christmas to have to like kind of just do chords with her.
Yeah.
Because if like I
That's
gotta
cool.
watch her do it, I might as well stand there and like kind of pick it up a little myself.
All right.
So I guess it's in
Yeah.
that vein. Yeah.
Yeah. It's it's interesting because Braden raced for 2 years and he has no desire to do it anymore.
Okay.
But Parker has watched him race for 2 years and he wants his shot to do it.
Hmm.
So, we're gonna have, Parker's gonna do it, and he'll at least go through driving school and, get out there, and he'll have his chance to do it. And then, maybe that opens up different avenues for the kids as well. So Braden will have more time. He said he wants to learn how to golf, so he's got some golf clubs, and
Teach
that'll be a
him how
good
to
one.
golf.
Yeah, so hopefully he'll enjoy that, something he'll take there, give us
All
a
right.
reason to get out,
Well,
for a couple hours.
you're a golfer too, so that's something you can go to. You're like, oh, let's go to the driving range, hit a bucket of balls. That's like, all right, I'll do
Oh
that.
yeah, exactly. I wouldn't complain. I'd
Yeah,
look
I have to
forward to
figure
it.
out. I have to make time for stuff like that, I guess.
Yeah. You can just kind of give them a little nudge in the right direction there and hope something
Yeah,
sticks.
yeah. No, we'll get there. We'll get there in due course. Have your. What was I going to ask you? Oh, the last thing I was thinking about was like the naming. So like you got Brian Popek, you got Braden Parker.
Yep.
So you kind of did the initials thing.
It was so we wanted to keep the same initials as me.
Hmm.
So it had to be a B and
So you
that
could give
kind
him
of
your monogram suitcase.
exactly. So, that was exactly what it was all about. All the monogram stuff that I have laying around the
You have
house,
so
just
many
got it all.
monogram suitcases. We can't let them go to waste.
Exactly. And we had Cassandra covered when she took on my last name. It was the same initials as my sister. So, we had that covered. So now we got my stuff covered. And Parker was just a name that we liked, which was kind of funny because Cassandra threw it out there and I liked it. And then I was looking at some of my high school stuff, and there were like 5 or 6 Parkers, and they were all girls.
Oh yeah?
And I didn't realize it at the time, but it was like, oh, all right, and so it's just kind of interesting in that regard.
I thought of
Um,
it as masculine. Like the first time I heard it, I assumed it masculine.
yeah, me too. But it was kind of funny seeing it pop up like that. It's one of those.
Is he like Spider-Man? Does Parker Popek like Peter Parker?
Oh, this used to get the kids so frustrated because it is Peter Parker and the kids were on a Spider-Man kick.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was Peter Parker, but it was Braden's middle name is Peter.
Oh, geez.
And so Parker would think his middle name was Peter, so it was Parker Peter Popek, but it was really, and then it would be like, no, it's Peter Parker. No, it's Parker Peter. And then it was just back and forth. And it was, a few good arguments over that one.
Were they able
Not
to enunciate the entire argument? Because it sounds like they would end up in some sort of tongue twister as 5-year-olds.
with Peter Piper and all his pickled peppers. Yeah. Oh, it was. They were young, but it was fun.
They were young. They didn't know any better.
No,
But
but they yeah, it was no, it's Peter Parker. No, it's Parker Peter. I just, every night we're reading a story, same argument over and over again.
yeah, I know that feeling too. But they were young. We are not anymore. And
No.
I will, unfortunately, we're getting close to time here. It's getting pretty late on the East Coast, at least. You're in Connecticut, you're in the East Coast. So, Brian, I want to thank you for being here this month. I appreciate it. We'll definitely have to have you back later on. I'm still impressed. I asked about the liquidity book question at the top, wearing the insurance. I think that was the highlight of my day, that I had such
Yeah,
like presence of mind to ask a good question.
it is. It
No,
is.
but we're finishing up May here, or no, I'm sorry. We're in April. Next month we're going to be May. I don't know who's going to be here next month. I want to get live people. I've been saying that for like 3 months now. It's just a lot harder than it seems. But we're gonna see who we can get. We're gonna be up in New Jersey come late summer. So I'm gonna do a little press junket tour and record some of these. So we have a couple with some of our New Jersey folks up there. So that should be a good time. A little bit to look forward to for everybody. Brian, do you have anything else you feel the need to say or put a note on before we close it out?
No, it's been a lot of fun. Appreciate you inviting me on, and look forward to maybe catching up with you again like this.
All right, sounds good. So yeah, this was April. Remember, the Substack drops once a week. These clips go up on YouTube, the whole podcast also on Spotify, and the Trader Dad store had to come down for a bit. There was a technical glitch, but it's going to go back up. Hopefully by the time this airs, it's going to be back up. Trader Dad store available. We're going to start having swag up there, so that's kind of cool. I'm going to start populating with my own Trader Dad swag. I'm going to get like the patch. I'm going to get like probably another patch. I really like the patches. We'll see. I might get a mug too. I'm gonna get the mug. I'm gonna be all swagged out in Trader Dad's gear sooner than later. So we will see that soon enough. But Brian, thank you again for being here. And everybody, we will see you next time.